The T-Bridle joint, Part 1. Marking out the T-Bridle joint. This is an example of the T-Bridle joint which I am going to mark out in this demonstration. Anatomy of the T-Bridle joint. The stem, the trenches, these are the working drawings which you will be provided with. The T-Bridle joint is marked out the same as a mortise and tenon joint, except, as you can see from this T-Bridle joint, the centre is removed from the stem and the sides are removed from the crosspiece. The tools we will need to mark out this T-Bridle joint are a sharp HB pencil, a steel ruler, a tri-square and a mortise gauge. So to begin, we take our two pieces. We will label the piece for the stem, piece A, and the crosspiece, piece B. We will then indicate our face side and face edge. These are our datum surfaces from which we can mark our measurements. As well as indicating datum surfaces and showing the mating surfaces for joints, the face side and face edge serve as reference faces for fences of machines and hand tools. Marking out the stem. As we can see from our working drawings, our stem is 30 mm long. Therefore, we measure 30 mm in from the end of our piece A and place a dot. We then use our tri-square to square this measurement around our piece. We must always remember to keep the stock of the tri-square pressed firmly against either the face side or face edge of the piece. What we want here is accuracy. Next, we need to mark the thickness of the stem. As we can see from our working drawings, the thickness of piece A is 18 mm. We can see from the side view that the stem consists of 3 equal measurements of 6 mm. We will mark these measurements of 6 mm onto the thickness of piece A using the mortise gauge. As you can see here, the stock of the mortise gauge can move freely along the stem of the mortise gauge. The stock is held in position by tightening the screw on the stock. There are two spurs on the mortise gauge, the fixed spur and the adjustable spur. The adjustable spur can be adjusted by turning the brass thumb screw at the bottom of the stem. Once the measurement required between the two spurs has been achieved, tighten the screw on the stock to set the mortise gauge. The measurement we require between the two spurs is 6 mm, and from the adjustable spur to the stock is also 6 mm. Place piece A at an angle in the vise. We stab the shoulder line of the stem and then with one steady stroke away from the body, we graze the surface of the timber with the spurs, all the time keeping the stock firmly pressed against the face side. The piece is then tilted in the opposite direction in the vise. Again, We stab the shoulder line of the stem with the spurs, and then with one steady stroke away from the body we graze the surface of the timber. We also do this on the end grain, remembering always to keep the stock firmly pressed against the face side. We then heavy in these lines with a HB pencil. We now indicate the waist, which in this case is the centre of the piece. We indicate the waist with X's. Piece A has now been marked out in full. Remember to leave the mortise gauge set as we will need it to mark out piece B. Marking out the trenches. As we can see from the working drawing, the trenches are 30mm in from the end of piece B and are 30mm wide. So, we measure 30mm in from the end of piece B and then a further 30mm. We then square these measurements around piece B, ensuring the stock of the tri-square is pressed firmly against the face side or face edge. Again, we can see from the working drawings the depth of the trenches is 6mm. Our mortise gauge should still be set to these measurements for marking out piece A. Place piece B at an angle in the vise. We stab the shoulder line and with one steady stroke away from the body we graze the surface of the timber. We then turn the piece in the vise and repeat this process on the opposite side with a sharp pencil heavy in the grazed lines. We can now indicate the waist, which in this case are the trenches on the outside of the piece. Piece A and piece B of our bridle joint are now completely marked out.